Um, Welcome to the Learning Lens with Puha Learning Labs, where we bring you conversations with educators who are doing things differently, changing how we think about learning itself. So today's conversation is with someone whose work has shaped classrooms across India for decades and is now building a school model that moves beyond rote learning into real world application based education. So, Dr. Bindu Rana is an award winning educationist, author, and the mind behind one of the largest bodies of school curriculum developed in India's private education sector. With over 800 books, 25,000 lesson plans, and 3 decades of experience shaping both classrooms and educators, her impact is vast. So, through her school, Antah Prerana, meaning inner calling, she is building a learning space that moves beyond rote learning, blending nature, mindfulness, entrepreneurship, and life skills. So, let's begin. Namaste, Bindu Ma'am. A warm welcome to you for our podcast. So, let's start with the first question.
Sure. Namaste, Aishwarya. Lovely to be here, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah. So happy to have this conversation with you as well, Bindu. I'm so much looking forward for our conversation.
I feel humbled.
Yeah. So, yeah, the first thing that I wanted to ask you was you hold 3 master's degrees, one in special education, one in education, and also in Upanishad studies. It's not very common that somebody who's an educator has a degree in Upanishad studies, so that might come as a surprise for a lot of people. So, as an educator, why did you pursue that, and how does it inform the way you think about a child's learning?
Aishwarya, I've been asked this question many times, and my Upanishad studies came after my two masters and my PhD. So it didn't just happen.
Okay.
By then, I had already worked on the introduction that you gave on 800 books and trained thousands of teachers, built some few learning systems, all of that. Yet every time we made something or we did something, I feel that the soul was missing. You
Mm.
say this, the soul was missing, and I really couldn't point out what that soul meant. And then
Hmm.
I accidentally read somewhere that the Upanishad was basically a dialogue between individuals, could be the guru, teacher, husband, wife, child, and the god of death. Uh, and it answered questions of everything from existence to death and beyond. So
Mm.
it really intrigued me, and I wanted to know more. I felt maybe the dialogue would lead me to find that soul that was missing in our content, right? And so that's how I started pursuing the Upanishad. But what was amazing is that the more I read, I realized the less I knew. And then the Upanishad taught me some very important fundamental things, especially in education, was that the Upanishad doesn't teach what to learn. Okay. They teach what it means to know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we often fill our children in today's age with a lot of information, but the Upanishads ask us a deeper question, and the question they ask is, who is the one who is learning? And
Correct.
that fundamental question was what changed my thought on education. Right? Um, it it shifted my attention from teaching subjects to nurturing a whole child.
Hmm.
When I
Hmm.
look at education today, or when I talk to teachers or whoever, I don't ask this question, did the child learn? I generally ask, how did the child experience that learning?
Correct.
And to me, that is the fundamental, because learning that does not touch the child's inner soul or inner self rarely ever stays.
Correct.
So that is where the whole concept of learning the Upanishad impacted me a lot.
That's very nice. Very
Yeah.
true, ma'am. Makes a lot of sense. Um, yeah. So my next question is, you started your career inside a classroom as a teacher. So what did those early years in teaching taught you that? No degree. You've done your masters. You have your degree. You have three masters degree, right? So no degree could teach you that. Like, what was that experience inside a classroom?
Oh, the classroom really taught me humility. You know, I began my career decades ago.
Mm,
Children with special needs, or differently abled, as we call them.
okay. Mm,
Uh, it was so humbling to see how, despite their physical or emotional barriers, the urge and keenness to learn, to be seen, to be heard was so beautiful. And no
mm,
theory had prepared me for that. You know, no theory prepares you for the moment when a child looks at you blankly despite the best lesson that you feel you've given, or suddenly asks you a question that completely shifts your thinking, right?
correct.
So,
Mm,
what I learned was that children don't learn because we teach well.
mm, mm,
They learn when they feel seen, safe, engaged, or are heard.
correct.
And one of my earliest lesson was from an autistic child. I was barely out of special ed masters, and I thought, like all youngsters, that I had done well and I would know how to teach children with special needs in a classroom. So I was put in a classroom with differently able children, and no one warned me, and neither was I prepared in practice to what was to come.
Mm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
Sitting in the classroom for five children, all with various physical, emotional, psychological abilities. I was cheerfully moving around the class, making eye contact, trying to talk to each one. And then I approached a young teen boy, and without realizing it, I gently touched him on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Before I realized it, he had taken my head and banged it on the table. And
Oh
I
my.
was
Okay.
pretty shaken up. I didn't know what hit me. I saw blackouts and I was taken out of the class. But that's a
Uh,
separate story. And so the next day when I went to the class, I went back to the class after that, and I thanked my head for telling me, no, no, you have to go back and learn how to handle it. Uh,
mm,
you know, when I was taken back into the same class, it changed me forever, because I
mm,
saw that he looked at me with more fear than I had of him,
mm.
you
Oh.
know. And that's when I realized that, connection comes before instructions. EQ comes before IQ, trust
Mm,
is before knowledge.
correct.
And that's the day I realized that you don't walk into a classroom and just start giving knowledge. You have to build that connect, you have to build that trust for the child to open up and start learning. So
Mm,
it's a turning point in my life, and I don't forget the bang, and the my bang, the head on my bang, my bang on my head, but I do remember the learning I got from it.
right.
So that was quite a turning point in my
Oh.
life. Yeah.
It's so hard to find teachers like you these days. I mean, who will have the patience, who will have that kind of learning that it's from the children that you also learn, and the thought that you have to build a connection before you even have to instruct. It's all about I'm here to teach and you're here to learn kind of a setup that we mostly see today. But this is okay. This incident is really, I don't know, it can shake up anybody, but that's such a
It does, but when you see the children and you see
mm,
them and you actually honestly look into their eyes, you realize that you have a tremendous impact, and you can be the mover and the shaker to change their
mm,
destiny and their life.
correct,
So that feeling itself is very humbling.
correct.
So yeah.
That's so inspiring. So that, that makes me think, how did you even come into the education space, ma'am? Like there were so many options out there, but what made you feel like, you can make the biggest impact in the education space?
I think I tumbled into education. When we were small, education was never a priority. And in our generation, parents did think education was a very humbling, noble profession. but it
Mm-hmm.
was last on my list.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I just stumbled on it one day when I was doing some voluntary work for an organization,
Okay.
and I met children there, and met special needs children. And
Mm-hmm.
for them, when I saw the interest and the keenness that they had, like I just mentioned, I think I just got attracted to learning and wanting to be with them. And
Mm.
so that really changed me, and that's when I started pursuing my masters in both special ed and then masters in education and so forth. And then I did my PhD also in education. So that journey continued. But I think the turning point like came also when I saw my own son in a play school where the teacher honestly, um, 2 or 3 year olds was sitting in a play school, and she was teaching in a concept which was really, even in our times, outdated, where she only wanted to teach alphabets and numbers and wanted to make sure that for 4 hours the children sat on a chair, didn't move, couldn't talk, they could only eat quietly, they could only sit, and you could see that nobody wanted to come to her class.
Mm-hmm.
Especially my own son wanted to run away most of the time out of the class.
Mm.
That got me thinking, that why are we allowing children to be tortured? Is it the fault of this individual, or is it the fault of teacher training, or is it that as people we are really not bothered? And that got me into education in a big way. Uh,
Mm.
and I really thought of making an impact in terms of trying to teach and reach out to teachers and create curriculums that could impact their teaching learning methods. So, you know, education is the only space, like I said, we are shaping. It's not just about careers, but human beings in formation. And if, as teachers, we don't realize this, and we don't, you know, reach out to teachers to really understand that psychological, impact, I think then education is of no value.
Mm.
So, as a mother, I wanted my child to think, I wanted him to do something, I wanted him to be heard, I wanted him to feel he mattered, and so forth. And I think that made me come into education in a big way. So that, and I really felt I could make an impact. So that
Okay.
led to making those learning systems, where these were instructional designs, but these instruction design would seem as if, that I was making plans which are very structured, but actually they were setting a certain basic standards for teacher to say that you could go above it, but you can't go below.
Mm-hmm.
And if you even followed this or maybe change it to doing something else, you would anyway have made hurt the child. You could have made him become creative, you could have made him become innovative. So
Mm-hmm.
it would make bigger impacts if we could create learning systems. So that's what I did.
Okay. That's very interesting, ma'am. Like working with the, special children, and that's what actually intrigued you into coming into education. So that's really so touching and.
So what touched me was the fact that, if our special need kids could understand things so beautifully,
Mm-hmm. Correct. Mm.
there was no learning disability. There was
Mm.
actually teaching disability. So
Mm.
now transfer that into regular classrooms. We teach every child in the same manner. We put children in boxes. We have the
Mm.
same syllabus for every child.
Correct. Mm.
Every child is born so uniquely different. It
Mm.
learns uniquely differently. Yeah.
Mm.
We ever do that in our classrooms? No, we don't. So
Mm.
the whole idea of creating the learning system was that how do we touch every child in a different way in a classroom, yet the teacher is able to do it for 25 kids in a classroom. So we try to master that kind of art in our systems.
Mm. Okay. this I just wish a lot of uh, teachers and a lot of educators are able to think the same way that you're talking about. Um,
I'm sure they do. And it's just that they are so bogged down with
mm,
the systems that we have set in place. The
correct,
systems are so outdated that if we don't change it now, we will be in a disaster soon.
correct. So yeah, I mean, moving on, like I have this one question on how different pedagogies work with children. Of late, whatever we've seen so far, the modern pedagogy, whatever form of curriculum you take, it largely focuses on the cognitive abilities of the child, like how a child thinks, how the child processes or retains information. But now that you've done Upanishad studies and you're, very familiar with the frameworks and you've also applied it in your journey, do you feel that, any framework from the Indian knowledge systems has more to offer for child development rather than modern pedagogy that doesn't address, like something in the modern frameworks is missing out, but the Indian knowledge systems have already addressed certain issues or certain topics in the child development.
Modern pedagogy largely focuses on how, like you said, the brain works.
Hmm.
The Indian knowledge system focuses on how the human being works. There's a
Hmm.
huge difference, right? So the
Correct.
Indian knowledge system would focus on the body, that is your prana, breath, the body through the yoga, the prana, the mind, emotions, consciousness. It takes the whole factor in.
Correct.
It focuses on the human being and how it works. So, there's a huge difference in the modern pedagogy and the IKS that we talk of, right? Now, I'm often asked, what value is that education system where the child studies to get marks for
Hmm.
years and years, but then goes and commits suicide after a few months of reaching the college he gave up his childhood for?
Exactly. Exactly.
What value is that education where a child who knows everything from his syllabus but cannot handle failure or anxiety, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you know, we prepare children, the modern education system prepares children for the university.
Hmm.
No idea on how to make them live in the universe,
Correct.
right? So, IKS fills that gap.
Hmm.
Education is not just about intelligence, it's about inner stability. Subjects cannot teach us that,
Correct.
right? So the whole idea is that how do we go back to our basics? We cannot let a Macaulay ruin our education system. And we've been doing that for decades now. It's time for India to wake up and say, how do we go back to an IKS and look back on our roots and figure out what is amazing and what's so beautiful and how we can merge this together in today's world. So there's a large gap that exists, but we're throwing out the baby with the bathtub by discarding everything which is in the IKS.
Correct.
Yeah.
But on this, this question that, today, but parents are also only looking for that, right? Parents are only looking at the placements and teachers are looking at marks and this, this government is also looking at just the literacy rate. So when everybody is just valuing the results like marks and, placements and jobs, and nobody's even caring of or looking at values these days, then how can a school leader or a school founder or any educator even, how can they even keep IKS or fit IKS into their system?
If you look at today's world, even in the modern world, if you go to any conferences, you will hear this jargon says it's a VUCA world. We live in a volatile, uncertain,
Hmm.
world where everything is And you can see it every day. We have wars, we have uncertainty, we have everything. In this kind of world, what are we teaching our children? We're teaching them content which you get today with within 30 seconds on your phone or your iPads,
Correct.
right? We're
Hmm.
teaching them redundant things which are not going to help. So we're teaching them for the past. We need to teach them for the future. We need to make sure that these children understand that there is a world outside which is going to be very different from the world that they are in today. How are we preparing these children for that world? So
Correct.
parents have to realize that IKS is not separate from anything. It actually strengthens a child. It
Hmm.
strengthens the child to become emotionally stable. It can help the child to focus. It can help the child to think independently. And the whole purpose is just to complete a syllabus, manage a class, or to produce results is not going to help either the school or the child next 5 years from now.
Correct.
So everybody has to wake up and understand this reality soon. And while we are sitting on this treasure in India, it's time for us to go back and take that treasure out and make
Correct.
everybody aware of how the future is not going to reward memorizers. It will reward thinkers, creators, balanced individual, and IKS can build just that.
Hmm. Correct.
Right? It needs to do that.
Yeah. Um, just another question on the same topic. So these days, when we have a report card to measure, how much they've memorized, what they've learned. Uh, do you see any parallel or any form of assessment to measure or to track how well the school has done in terms of values? Because that is only visible many years later, right? So how can somebody make sure that at least they're doing the bare minimum in terms of the inner education in a school? So is there any form of
There
assessment or
could be one indicator that the child comes very happy and loves coming to school.
hmm, correct?
Right. We forget the most important. We've created checklist. We've created 100 parameters on how to check everything in our school. We've
Correct,
never created a parameter to check within.
correct.
How
Hmm,
does a child feel happy? How does a child feel? How does a child feel when it experiences something? Does it know itself? What is the experience while it has learned something?
very true.
Right?
Yes.
If we have a simple parameter like this and not complicate our list with, and that's where it frustrates teachers because while they're also checking their marks, so-called marks, which they feel is the end and end all, they're also got 500 checklist on which they are supposed to fill up.
Correct.
So I think if we just go back to the way the Gurukuls realized every child's individual needs and their personalized needs, and the Guru knew every child in and out. It knew what its strength was. It understood what the child needed.
Hmm.
If we allow our teachers that autonomy, that freedom to know, there's a very beautiful saying that before you teach John Latin, you should know John,
Correct. That's so
right?
that's so true.
Why is our system not doing that? If only they knew John, John will
Correct.
automatically grow. In
Very
the
true.
other case, I would say if it's not John, it can be Ram. But why
Correct.
are we not doing that in our system?
Absolutely.
Right?
So well put, ma'am. That's so well put. Yeah. So when you told, a place where children love coming, the children actually feel alive and happy. I want to talk about Antah Prerana here because when I visited the school, um, they told me that it's just 1 year old, but I didn't feel like that at all because the children were so impressive. They were very creative. They were so well spoken. They were curious. They were so happy to take me around the school to explain what they've done. And when we asked them, do you like coming to school? They told me that they just don't like leaving from the school. So the kind of ideas that they had, it was so inspiring to talk to all of them. And in my experience, I've not come across another school where it's just 1 year old and the children are so creative and so inspiring to talk to. So I want to ask you how is it that the children in Antah Prerana are the way they are, and what does a day in Antah Prerana actually look like? If you could tell more about some more information about the school.
Thank you. It feels so encouraging to hear that you love the school. The school is a passion project for us. It's not a machinery where we churn out high scorers for the university. But our aim here is to create living beings capable of living and enjoying the universe they live in, right? So,
That's
entrepreneur, as the word goes, is all about inner calling and being internally inspired. So a day here doesn't look like subjects. It looks like experiences, right? So
okay.
a day would begin with yoga, meditation, going out and growing their own vegetables. And then all their learning happens through entrepreneurs. So for example, right now, when you came to us, they were just launching their first cafe,
Correct.
right? And so through that cafe they're learning the math all about pricing. They're learning about history and geography from the food itself that they are serving, which is where does this food come from, what was the origin of this food, what is required, what is the geography that is required to grow that food, what is the economic background of that food, right?
Hmm.
So we're not teaching it as a separate subject. We are integrating it to everything. They learn to communicate. They learn all their communication skills through actually talking to real customers sitting there in their cafe. They write short stories about their experiences every day, which is they're expressing it. They're expressing their frustration or their failure or the achievement through it, which we are looking at the emotional quotient. They grow their own organic plants from which they serve in the cafe. Uh, and most important is that you will see them always looking at how they can improve things in the cafe.
Hmm.
Now, while there is a structure, but there's no rigidity to what we do here. Here, the whole idea is that children learn to think, they create, they question, they collaborate all on their own. We don't have a separate period where we take it's critical thinking, or that now we are going to teach you how to question, right? It comes from the living experience that they have here. So that is why they would, because they're so confident of managing their own emotions, their own frustrations, their own studies, that they appear to be confident because they're not just consuming knowledge, they're
Correct.
living it.
Hmm.
So I think the whole idea of entrepreneur was to do just that. And we do that every day with different things through it. And I keep telling parents that you need not worry about their literacy skills because that just flows by the side beautifully without really spending too much energy on it. So, like I said, we are not preparing children for the university. That will happen,
Correct.
but we are preparing for the universe.
That's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true because when I spoke to the children, literacy and all is, I mean, that's just a small play for them. They were talking about profit. They wanted, they were talking big numbers. They were about how many plants, and they were actually putting up a sales pitch about their cafe to us. So
Yeah,
that's,
they do
that's
that all the time. They do that with me also all the time.
that's not something to be worried about
Good to
when
see
they do
them.
something like that. Very true.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
But so one more question on about children and preparing them for universities and jobs. Uh, the modern schools or the current schooling system is actually engineered around that. But like you said, in Antah Prerana and in our IKS systems, the child was always, was preparing for life, aligned with their Swadharma. What is the unique, innate quality about them, or what is the purpose that, they want to work towards. So not everybody can join Antah Prerana, but, if you have to take some aspects of Antah Prerana to the modern schools today. So how how can they achieve that, or what do you think? How can Antah Prerana, some aspects of Antah Prerana, go into modern schools today?
So, when we talk of Swadharma, firstly, we have to understand what Swadharma means. And if every teacher understands this simple thing, it's just like in the Bhagavad Gita, it's talking about one's inner calling or natural duty aligned to that inner calling. Good or bad, it's not discussing. It's talking about a certain seed given to you. Have you been able to flower that seed, and have you been able to fulfill that purpose based on it?
Correct.
Our school systems, unfortunately, put all children in that box, like I said. The
Hmm.
Swadharma, if we can bring that to schools, and it is possible to bring that to school, if we actually ask children what they enjoy doing, right? What they are good at, and
Hmm.
then create an environment which helps it flourish, makes it flourishes it, that
Correct.
Swadharma of theirs. Now, unfortunately, because we have a one shoe size fit curriculum, we have marks over meaning, we always have suppression of the inner voice because they don't have time to reflect, they don't have choices, they don't are not allowed to question. Um, I think it's possible for us to bring that Swadharma, uh, only if our education system can change the focus from subject to human beings.
Hmm.
And it is possible that it will make our schools so much more beautiful and so much more interactive, um, in the way it happens, because then education will not be transactional,
Correct.
right? You will build relationships, right? You will have a kind of a value system that you will give to feelings,
Correct.
to
Hmm.
acknowledge other one's feelings and to accept that feeling instead of just believing that what is written is the last thing. The reason for all was because we don't give any credit to other people's perspectives.
Hmm.
So
Very
I
true.
think we should and we can have the ability to bring it back,
Correct.
right? So let's hope it happens soon.
Very true, ma'am. That's very true. Um, so, throughout your conversation, one thing that I can really stick to is how much a teacher can shape, somebody's life. Everybody, for example, today are what they are because of the teachers, that they've interacted with. It's mostly the teachers' impact on their lives, whatever a person has achieved today. So it's also that profession which shapes other professions. It also makes a human being what they are today. So, when a teacher is such a influential and such an important profession in today's times, but it's also something that people are not openly opting for it. Yeah, so that's a very sad situation, and it's very sad how we value teachers in today's times. And how do you think we can fix this problem?
No, like I said, today education, earlier education was seen as a path to wisdom.
Correct.
Today it is seen as a service that delivers marks, results, and placements.
Very true. Correct.
So she's not no longer viewed as a guru, but as a service provider,
Mm.
right? And it has not become a guru siksha parampara, it has become transactional.
Mm.
And schools today are judged by what? They are judged by board results. rankings. And teachers are, I can't blame them, are pressurized to produce outcomes,
Hmm.
right? So, where is the human connection between a teacher and a child,
Hmm.
right? Uh, See, today, even technology has taken over. But earlier, the teacher was a primary source of knowledge.
Hmm.
Today, she's not the primary source of knowledge. So, if she's not the primary source of knowledge, what is her role then?
Correct.
Right? Her role has to be emotional. Her role has to be understanding the child more, understanding John.
Hmm.
Because her source of knowledge has been taken over by something else.
Hmm. Correct.
Right? So, respect will come if we shift our focus, like I said, from the transactional to relationships.
Hmm.
You will see that today we respect all our teachers who gave us a pat on our back or who encouraged us in our school. We don't remember a teacher who gave us 100 out of 100 in a subject. But we
Correct.
remember the teacher who was helpful to us when we were in a problem, who helped us out when we got into trouble for some other reason, who counseled us beautifully.
Hmm.
These are
Correct.
the teachers that we hold high regard. Let's get that back. You already have technology to help you, but this is missing. Technology can't do that for you,
Correct.
right? So we need to reduce the pressure, the system pressure on teachers, where they are overburdened and their creativity just gets missing. So
Hmm.
I think when the society's value system has shifted,
Hmm.
what do you expect from that poor teacher who's anyway overburdened,
Correct.
right? So uh, we need them to understand that they transform lives, and schools must now look at not just content, delivering content, but at looking at transforming children's lives in a more positive way.
Absolutely.
So we should do
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. You spoke about how technology is, kind of replacing the role of a teacher today. But also that makes me think, like AI has come and everybody is talking about AI, and it's come and it's going to stay. That's what I feel. And teachers are today are genuinely not sure how to integrate, or how do you handle AI with children. So in your view, how do you think AI can actually help a child learn, without replacing the curiosity, the creativity that the child should have? How can AI aid in the child's learning, be a partner in the child's learning?
See, like you rightly said, AI is here to stay, and it's excellent for giving information. It helps in practice, it helps in drill work, it also helps in personalized learning thing. But
Correct.
what you have to realize that learning doesn't happen through that.
Mm.
Learning happens when there is curiosity, when there is struggle, when
Mm.
pain, there is love, there is imagination, there is creativity,
Correct.
right? And AI can't do that.
Mm.
Your hands-on learning, teachers connect,
Mm.
project work
Correct.
is what make children learn.
Mm.
When they fall or when they fail in doing something, when they explore, they interact, they love and are loved. That's
Mm.
true learning actually happens, and it stays in the soul forever,
Mm.
right? Now, to ask, can we use AI to support learning? Yes, it can do all the informative things,
Mm.
but it cannot replace the teacher in the classroom. In
Mm.
no way will it replace the teacher in the classroom, because that learning experience only a teacher can give,
Very true.
right? So to me, AI is there for your transactional needs. It is
Mm.
there for making a teacher's life a little easier when it comes to giving homework and giving a little bit of theory and making them do some research work. and making them explore, but that is not education.
Hmm.
Education is much more beyond than an AI tool that is in your hand. It is only a tool, and let us not be fearful of it. This so-called jargon about AI replacing is never going to replace something which is so meaningful, our teachers. So let's not worry about it. We'll use it. All of us use it, and all of us use it in every day. From your Gemini to your Chat GPT, let children use it, but let's question it too,
Hmm.
right? And remember that while your technology is in front of you and we are on a medium through technology, nature has given us 5 technology tools born with it. Can we
Hmm.
use those tools, which is your what we call in Antah Prerana as the technology of consciousness, the
Hmm.
t- which is all our 5 senses. They are tools to learning. If we can sharpen these technological tools to learning in our everyday transactions in our classrooms, to see, how much to see, what is being seen, what needs to be seen, what needs to be discarded,
Correct.
what do we hear, what is the stimulants that is disturbing me, what is it that I can discard, because we are constantly got a lot of noise around us, right?
Hmm.
These are tools by nature has been given to you, we have suppressed them.
Hmm.
So to me those are the actual AIs that we need to develop in the IKS.
Correct. That's when a human being grows completely, grows fully.
They
Very
are
true.
pathways to learning, and we've ignored it. We've only given one mind all that focus.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's so correctly put. Yeah. Um, so coming to one last question, for one takeaway or one step or one habit that schools across India, for the teachers or the school educators, if you could suggest one idea from your experience, uh, you know, that one principle, it can be one principle, one concept, or one practice that you wish every school can follow and that has, in your experience, shown results. What would that practice or habit be, and why?
That is such a tough question because I have so many to choose from. Okay. Um, this is one would be Atma Vichara, though I could have put your Panchakosha, which the NCRT is now trying to do. I think, can I take two? For
Yes.
example, Atma Vichara is, the self inquiry.
Hmm.
If the child can begin with self awareness,
Hmm.
not just information, should be able to reflect on their feelings, their stress, their strengths, which they can do through journaling, circle times. Like I said, our children do it when they come back on the end of the day to see how they did for the day and write their frustrations. Um, if the child can understand what I'm good at, what do I,
Hmm.
it will help them to align life choices much easier. And all this through their anubhava,
Hmm.
because said the anubhava before gyan.
Hmm.
Experience leads to gyan. Gyan doesn't lead to experience,
Hmm. Correct.
right? So your atma vichara is to know yourself better, choose better, to live better. If only schools could adapt that and build on it, I think
Hmm.
we would have an education system where um, we would create more awareness, more capability, more compassionate human beings. And if we get this right, success automatically will follow. So, yeah, Atma Vichara and Anubhava are my two principles that I would like schools to follow.
Okay. That's so true, ma'am. Like, the practice of introspection that you told. so often people are, 25, 30 years old and still they're trying to figure out what I'm good at. That's such an important, it's about who am I? What am I good at? That's such a basic question, basic understanding about oneself. And unfortunately, even after 18, 20 years of today's education, people are still confused. And yes, like
Like
rightly you
the Upanishad has been telling us that, uh, who is the one who is learning?
mm,
Understand that deep meaning,
correct.
we will have an amazing education system. Trust us. And it's time for us in India to wake up and go back to our roots. Uh, Literally go back and say, thank you for giving us an education system which got exported to England and back to us in another form. But uh, we need to be proud of what we have and get back to it.
Correct. Absolutely. I just hope a lot of educators and teachers and parents get to meet you, get to visit Antah Prerana, and just, just take up whatever bits and whatever they can and apply to their lives. I think it's the
We will be
wish.
happy. We welcome everybody to our school. We would love to have all of you. And, uh, you know, let's just all of us aim for inner growth, purpose, and real life readiness.
Correct. Absolutely.
You know?
That yes. So, Binduji, this has been like such an inspiring and rich conversation with you. I've learned so much in this conversation. It really connected with me. Some of the experiences that you shared, it really touched me, and it just my inspiration has just it set the bar really high for me. Like, okay, these are the kind of standards that I should follow, and people have done such great things when it comes to um, you know child development and inspiring students. So I'm going to take a lot of things from this conversation and try to apply it in my life. So thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights, and basically the mindset that you do your work with.
Thank
So
you so much for having me. And I feel blessed that I was able to sit here with you today.
so happy to have this conversation with you, ma'am. And with Antah, you've actually set an example for a lot of schools today. I really wish, a lot of the audience who are watching this, so please visit Antah because it's a very inspiring school. It's in a cute farm that's located close to Delhi. It's very inspiring. You should definitely meet the children. And we link all of the details of Antah Prerana and Binduji's work in the description below. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having this conversation with us. Uh, so this is the Learning Lens with Yuha Learning Labs. And if you enjoyed this episode, do follow, share, and stay tuned for more such conversations that challenge in how we understand learning. And we'll see you soon in the next episode. Thank you.